Question number 1. I cannot understand people giving so much additional vegetable and fruit matter to their dogs. I really wish they would add meat. All these vegetable matter is so hard to digest, especially for the poor dogs who already have gut issues. I couldn't agree more. This is something, again, I see all the time. People come to our branches, and one of the common problems people have is the gut issues of the dog, any gastrointestinal issues of the dog, and people seem to think that vegetables and fruit are going to solve the problem. The main thing that not many people know about is that if you are going to feed any small amount of plant matter to a dog, first of all, they cannot digest it normally. They don't have salivary amylase, which is an enzyme that breaks down starches in the mouth. And vegetables and plants are indeed starches. But you should lightly cook them before you give them to your dog to break down a little bit the cellulose and for your dog to be able to absorb them a little better. Now, we are talking about a negligible amount of plant matter in your dog's diet. How much? No one knows. That's the reality of it. I have been doing some digging into how much plant matter is good. Is 1% good? Is 10% good? No one seems to know. What we know is that a very small amount that is reasonable seems to do the trick. So if your dog's diet comprises of maybe 5 to 10% plant matter or vegetables to your dog, that would be okay. But don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Don't overload your dog with vegetables. It's not biologically appropriate. They don't have the jaws for it. The gastrointestinals aren't designed to breaking down plant matter. They don't have long intestines. They don't have the same stomachs as we do. They have stomachs akin of carnivores, really. So I would try to reel back on the amount of vegetables, especially if you feed kibble. So if you feed kibble, even if you feed the best kibble on the market, that's likely going to have at least 20 to 30% carbohydrates. And those carbohydrates are going to be coming from fruits and vegetables if you are feeding the best of the best kibbles. So an additional carrot, an additional green bean, or an additional this or an additional that, it's not going to make your dog any better. Feed them, I don't know, things that are meaty treats, 100% patties. We sell them in our shops. Thepetquarter.co.uk. Patties and sticks that are 100% meat. Things that they can digest a lot easier. And whenever we get a dog with gut issues, the first thing we need to assess is the diet. And we need to annihilate anything that's potentially not the best for the dog. Because if the dog already has something which is an immunodeficiency, we need to look at the diet first and foremost, before giving the dog anything else and trying to tackle the problem. Look at what you're giving the dog. And so yeah, that's the one thing I would say. I have another question, and Ed couldn't comment on YouTube for whatever reason, but I've got you covered. YouTube keeps deleting my comments on your video about the veterinary shortage. I have just published a video on a vet shortage in the US, and this applies to the UK as well. I would highly encourage you to watch it. Quite interesting, because I have gone down a bit of a rabbit hole and how our vet bills are going up. And a lot of the reasons why vets go up is the concentration of the market, the structure of the market, and why some baby boomers aren't being replaced by new vets. You are 100% correct. Thank you. Vet care is getting to be as bad as expensive as human healthcare. I kind of believe that, So I have been to the doctors maybe twice in 10 years. I'm quite healthy. I eat quite well. I exercise all the time. I try to live a pretty active and happy life. And both of the times that I've been to the doctors, the nurse or the doctor has Googled the symptoms or has Googled a question. And in both cases, she has gone on to say, "Oh, I don't know about that. Let me Google it." And I'm like, well, aren't you meant to know about this topic? Anyway, corporations only care about quarterly profits, not anyone's health. I do my best to eat well, and keep myself healthy. As to avoid dealing with the healthcare system. I do the same with my 2 cats. I feed homemade food, a quality wet food that is low in calcium and phosphorus, and keep them in the house. When I bring up injection site sarcoma, I am told that cats now get vaccines in the lower leg. If they get cancer, hopefully the leg can be amputated instead of euthanizing the cat. What? Imagine telling that to a human patient. Instead, we inject humans with experimental drugs, sometimes at government insistence. Keep up the good fight. Well, I would probably need a bit more context from you. But with regards to vet and vet care, I actually am on LinkedIn for the corporate side of the business. And one of the things I have encountered as well is that some of these very profitable vets are still getting rid of people and not getting rid of admin staff. They are getting rid of vets to make them more profitable. So your vet bills are going up and they are cutting down staff to make the whole thing more profitable. And one of the things I wonder is, where are you going to go? Because there's only a handful of vets around you. This isn't like a very wide free market. You only have 2, 3, 4, 5 options tops. And so this means that everything is more expensive because they either corral around pricing or they check each other's prices. And where are you going to go? And this only affects you. So I hope something gets done, because it's a bit of a it's a tricky one, It's a very, very tricky one. I highly recommend you watch that video. Next question. Thank you so much for helping spreading the truth about Solensia and Librela. We also tried the BBC and Sky in the UK, but haven't heard back from them yet. So far, only the Wall Street Journal dared, in quotations, to write about this. Sadly, so massive thank you for this. Hopefully many pets' lives can be saved. I hope vets will watch it too and stop giving Solensia and Librela for literally everything. Cause there was a case of a cat receiving Solensia for constipation and the cat died. Well, listen, we do have to caveat these things. Zoetis hasn't come up with either an explanation or a report or an investigation or anything. According to Zoetis, the drug is safe. 18 million doses have been administered, and I was talking about this yesterday actually. Out of 14 million shots, even if 5,000 go wrong, that's a very small amount. And even then, we cannot sometimes do a one-to-one causation between cause and effect. I have tried to give people a platform because I thought it was a very good thing to do. Because again, whenever you have these problems, nobody really listens to you unless there's a mass of people behind you talking about it. And so I thought it was very interesting after I launched the video on the Wall Street Journal investigating it, how so many people had similar problems. So I thought I am going to platform these people and give them a voice. And so that's what that is a voice. I am a sort of interlocutor. I don't know whether the drug is good, is bad. I don't have any reason to suspect the drug is bad. I have a senior dog, and I would not, and I was talking about this yesterday, I would not put him on Librela. I just wouldn't. And he struggles with arthritis, but no chance. If he can't walk and it's a life or death sort of thing, I might consider it. But even then, I'll go into it with my eyes fully open. So that's, if anything, what you guys have given me. So thank you so much. There's loads of reports that we are getting. There's so many people who have told us about their case and what's happened to them, and I am so very sorry to hear some of the stories. They are heartbreaking, and my heart goes out to you. You aren't going to believe this, but a vet on LinkedIn, and she's quite high up in her practice, in her remit, rather. I think she has a few vets. She said, and you should learn that ingredients really aren't a good way to rate a pet food. So I was commenting rather on a very big company's website, because they do these appreciation posts. Oh, we have opened our next clinic or next store, or we are now in 55 countries or whatever. And it was one of the big three. And if you know one of the big three, you know one of the big three. And this particular comment I made was that it would be really cool if you stopped selling some of your products with certain ingredients. And so a vet replied and said, you should learn that ingredients really aren't a good way to rate a pet food. So let me ask you, if I have a cat and the recipe contains caramelized sugar, or I have a dog and the recipe contains dextrose, or if a cat food or a dog food includes wheat, gluten, barley, corn, soy, or meat and animal derivatives or animal fats, that's not a very good way of rating a pet food. So if I go to your veterinary practice and my dog needs an elimination diet whereby he's allergic to something and we are going to trial an elimination diet, and on the back of the dog food you recommend we see meat and animal derivatives or animal fats, do we know what fat that animal is coming from? Do we know what animal that fat is coming from, rather? Do we know which particular meat is meat and animal derivatives? Is it deer? Is it chicken? Is it lamb? What is it? Well, you tell me, because you seem to think that ingredients aren't a good way to rate a pet food. This is the state of things, my friends. You are going to hear the most ridiculous statements coming from certain people in the whole wide world. And it's going to be down to you to decide what's good and what's not good, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. So if a vet tells you that the ingredients in your pet's food aren't a good way of rating a food, then you are out of your mind for believing them, in my opinion. If you read a processed food for us, and it's full of ingredients that you don't really know what those ingredients are, we can pretty much say that that food might not be a very good one because it's highly processed. But if you pick up a pack of chicken and some green beans, the only two ingredients are chicken and green beans. And I know what I'm getting with chicken and green beans. But if I go for something which is mass produced and highly processed, do I know what I'm really eating? I don't. Well, the same applies to dog food and cat food. So in my opinion, this vet is off her rocker, with all due respect, madam. Me, a team of 3 hard-working cattle dogs. Possum roadkill, fresh beef with mutton fat added, eggs, sardines and mackerel. Over the years, I've seen kibble and biscuits ruin their teeth at an alarming rate. So if you have highly functioning cattle dogs or working dogs that run around for maybe 10 to 12 hours every day, especially if you live in the UK or a place as miserable as the UK. And just for the record, if you aren't in the UK, it's raining again, and it has been raining for 4 months now. It's horrible. We've had 4 days of sun. It's horrendous. Let me know in the comments what's the weather like where you are, the States or whatever. I hope you're in sunny California. If you have a highly functioning working dog, adding a bit more fat content to your dog's diet is a very good idea. I wouldn't recommend you overdo it. I don't recommend you all of a sudden go from, maybe for argument's sake, from 10% fat to 40% fat. But adding a bit more fat is incredible, in my opinion, because your dog is really using up a lot of the calories, and they need a lot of the calories, especially, again, if they are running around all day, every day in horrible weather, which we have had horrible weather for a while. So yeah, 3 hardworking cattle dogs, cattle. It's incredible what they do, right? Whenever you look at TikToks, there's a guy called Sean the Sheepman or something like that, and that border collie is incredible when he shouts "Kampai," and the dog just goes on running and stuff. And then you wonder, people who have border collies or any other working dogs in small apartments, or they don't exercise the dog, do they watch those videos? Because a dog that requires so much energy and is bred to do such a specific task needs the energy, needs the movement, needs all the exercise. So for you to give your dog, your little cockapoo, which is a crossbreed with a working dog, 2 20-minute dog walks, you are out of your mind if you don't think your dog is going to be destructive. But anyway, I digress. Next question. My Patterdale Terrier was on a raw meat diet for years. Then all of a sudden, he dropped a lot of weight and we nearly lost him. I'm sorry to hear that. Vets confirmed he had a malabsorption of vitamin B12 and that was very low. He now can't make any meat product. He can't have any meat product as his body won't absorb the nutrients from the meat proteins, and he is on a strict vegetarian hypoallergenic diet. He is back to his normal bouncy self now. I have only encountered one case of a dog being put on a vegetarian diet. This couple came to me about 2 years ago, And I was, again, going through the elimination diet. I think dogs need meat. It's essential for dogs to eat meat. But he had a very, very specific condition. So specific that these two people had spent £15,000 on diagnostics for the dog. And so the dog was now on a hypoallergenic plant-based diet, and the dog's coat was horrible. The dog was alive. The dog was happy, because dogs are happy. But the dog's coat and condition wasn't very good. And this is after £15,000 of consultations, investigations at Oxford or Cambridge, one of the two. So this is high level people examining what's going on with the dog. This is not me deciding that my dog needs a vegetarian diet after not being able to absorb certain vitamins or minerals. So before you get on any plant-based bandwagons, I would highly implore you to look at your dog in the eye and check with yourself whether that's the best course of action for your dog. Because in 9.999% out of 10, your dog is better off on a meat-based diet. So there you go. Vets confirmed he had a whatever. His body won't absorb the nutrients from the meat proteins. Okay. And why not put the dog on an insect protein food, for example? That's animal protein. Is it the best? I don't think so. It's not biologically appropriate. Dogs don't eat insects in the wild. But insects at least will have some of those. They're all protein. It's all protein, really. There's no fat in insects. So those essential amino acids. Where is your dog getting vitamin D3 from? Where is your dog getting taurine from? Where is your dog getting all these nutrients? You want to feed your dog a plant-based diet, you do what you want. I have a very interesting interview coming up, by the way, and a couple of videos. So yeah, this is brilliant. I hope in the future they extend this to other animals, such as horses and small pets. This is a new bill that has been passed in the UK, whereby it is now a criminal offence to steal a dog or a cat. And it's really interesting because up until now, the law saw dogs and cats as not sentient beings. But with the introduction of this new bill, now cats and dogs are deemed as sentient beings capable of suffering distress from not being with their guardians, which I think is adorable. Especially when they get stolen. Horses especially get stolen a lot, unfortunately. And even though they don't live in people's houses, people also have strong bonds with their horses. So yeah, absolutely. It's a good day. It's a good day for dog and cat people. I don't really understand why people would steal a dog or a cat, but there you go. I'd be heartbroken. I'd be absolutely in pieces if someone stole my dog or cat, and I would be capable of anything and everything really to get my dog and cat back. So yeah, I do absolutely share the sentiment. Thank you for your comment. Our pets are our children. The pet food industry lie and could care less about quote unquote killing our pets. I don't think the pet food industry wants to kill our pets. I think the pet food industry is profit motivated. That's what I think. A kilo of wheat is a lot cheaper than a kilo of chicken. A kilo of sugar is a lot cheaper than a kilo of lamb. A kilo of corn, of barley, of pears is a lot cheaper than a kilo of reindeer. And that is it. It's about profit, it's about bottom line, it's about gross profit margins, and it's about all those good numerical factors. Our pets are our children. Yes, the pet food industry couldn't care less about killing our pets. I don't think they want to kill our pets. I think they want to make as much money as possible. And they will dilute as much of a recipe as the market allows them to. That's probably my take. Again, on stolen pets. This is wonderful news. We have a case of a stolen pet. Police know where the dog is, name of the thief, all the details, and they have done absolutely nothing since January. Well, they don't have the powers, I would imagine. I do not think there was a specific legislation up until now that allowed police, or maybe police are... the police are in a very tough place. I am no police expert, but they must be up to here with work, with serious work, with murders and bank robbers and whatever, criminal, like real hardcore criminals. And stealing a dog is a criminal offense from now, but it isn't at the top of what police are doing or are concerned with. I mean, look at this Jewish and Palestinian incident in London the other day with a protest. That's probably higher on the list of priorities. Sadly, it is what it is. I am vegan, 37 years, but feed my dog raw meat. Great. I don't get why raw feeders get worked up about vegan feeding than they do kibble feeding. The dogs I've seen that are home-fed vegan diets actually experience health improvements when owners take them off kibble. Have you been to a slaughterhouse? Why begrudge anybody the option for not patronizing that horrible system? There's a lot of moving parts in that comment. Have I been to a slaughterhouse? I don't, but I am actually actively looking for better options to eat meat. This means that I'm a big meat eater. I love meat. I eat meat every single day. I love vegetables too, with meat. I think a balanced diet is the best course of action anyway, for us. I'm not sanguine about this. But there was a case of pigs in very small crates in the McDonald's food supply chain, where these pigs couldn't even turn, right? They couldn't even turn. That concerns me. I don't like that. I do not like whenever I see caged hens and caged chickens in barns not being able to do anything, not being able to roam around. Same with cattle. It's hard, because how do you ensure you are buying things that are good for you, very good for you, have been ethically killed, and that are relatively affordable? So if you are going to buy the best of the best, right? The free-range chicken from organic means or whatever, and the chicken is £20 or $20, that's quite steep. People can't really afford that. So I am conscious about it. I'm very conscious about it. I don't like animal cruelty. I don't like... Because that comes back to us, by the way. If you're... And I talk about this all the time. If you have a chicken, and let's say, for argument's sake, I don't know anything about farming, but please let me know if you do. A chicken's lifestyle or lifespan from the day they are born until the day they die, or they are meant to die, is 12 months, right? And over 12 months, they put a reasonable amount of weight, and then at the end of the 12 months, we kill them and we eat them, right? So we only feed them a regular a normal amount of food, whatever that might be. I don't know. But now let's say that we need to feed more of us. And instead of 12 months, we feed the chicken in 3 months. And at the end of the 3 months, we have to kill the chicken. So we artificially fatten the chicken to be able to kill it in 3 months. I'm not on board with that. So I do understand where vegans sometimes come from. Don't think I don't. Of course I do. At the same time, we need to eat. And feeding, there's a lot of us. I don't begrudge anybody for being vegan or for eating whatever they want to eat. I don't care. I don't think all kibbles are equal. I don't think all kibbles are equal. All kibbles and all plant-based diets aren't the same. I'd rather put my dog on a very good kibble than a plant-based diet. If you are talking about a 4% meat and animal derivatives, cereal-based food, that's already a vegan diet, in my opinion, in my book. So that doesn't constitute a suitable diet. It's bad enough to do that to dog owners, but for their own diets too. Your friends are not necessarily good examples of veganhood. And this is a comment I made on I have friends being vegan. And I told them, I told the story about my friends being vegan and how they go on about being vegan. Your friends aren't good examples of veganhood. It sounds like they aren't. And the solution is not eating meat. It's fixing their freaking diets. Veganism can be done many ways, and the best ways produce the best health. Well, listen to me. To say that you aren't a good vegan and that you are a bad vegan and there's different levels of veganism. Vegans are vegans, right? So you can't say, oh, she is a bad vegan and I'm a good vegan. That's hypocritical. I don't subscribe to that ethos. If you're a vegan, great. Props to you for feeding your dog correctly, a biologically appropriate diet. I understand how certain brands, next question, tailored towards breeds are supposed to be beneficial for supporting possible medical issues. Things like if you have a breed prone to heart disease, that's been debunked, by the way. Tailor it towards that possible issue is being debunked. But ultimately, food is not going to change genetics, and sure, feeding may help a bit, but will never completely eradicate the risk of them getting those breed-related diseases. No, I don't agree with that at all. You see, for example, West Highland Terriers, Westies, one of my favorite breeds, very prone to diabetes, very prone to pancreatitis, very prone to going blind due to those health conditions. If you feed one of the West Highland Terrier tailor-made kibbles, you will see lots of wheat, barley, corn, soy, and rubbish ingredients. High glycemic carbohydrates aren't going to be good for a possible diabetes, for obesity, for pancreatitis. Your dog's going to struggle, and so no. A good food is a good food. A bad food is a bad food. You need to look at the ingredients first, and then see if your dog has any dietary requirements and work from that. For example, if you have a Dalmatian, you are going to want to look at the phosphorus, at the calcium, at all the things that Dalmatians struggle with, purine. But you shouldn't feed a Dalmatian kibble, a Dalmatian-based kibble, because a manufacturer says so. No, look at the ingredients, look at the nutritional information, and then make the decision on what you want to feed your dog. So yeah. My dog has eaten raw chicken and beef for the past 7 days. We don't give them any treats as they are usually full of crap. He recently started throwing and it has some blood. We changed his food to cooked ground chicken with cooked carrots and sweet potatoes. It seemed he was getting better, but a month later it's happening again. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Take the dog to the vet. I have other options, but with that amount of information, I would suggest you take the dog to the vet. It's probably the best. Completely unrelated, but my dog has been a bit ill in the past few weeks. And so we did a recipe of Treebox powder and chicken broth and a tiny bit of pumpkin puree. A tiny bit. This is not 40% of the dog's diet. And it worked really well. It worked really well over a few days. He had a few niggles, but we never saw blood. I never saw blood. If I saw blood, I would run to the vet. There you go. That's what I suggest you do. We have so many good things planned for the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.